further ado, we will get started. Welcome, everybody. My name is Alim. I'm the founder of Ambitious Labs. We're a virtual academy based out of Atlanta, Georgia. We teach entrepreneurs how to build apps without writing code. We're the first ever virtual academy that's centered around no code. We educate entrepreneurs of all different shapes and sizes, whether you're a 9-to-5 builder, whether you're full-time, whether you're a VC-backed founder, whether you're a university business school student. Our mission is to empower entrepreneurs with a brand new toolkit called No Code that will allow them to bring their app ideas to life. Today's workshop is on how to clone popular apps. And the app that we're going to clone today is the brand new Instagram Threads app. Very timely. As you guys may have seen, Twitter recently rebranded to X. I think it's a terrible move. And I think Twitter is on the downfall. And that's probably why Zuckerberg said, hey, we got to make our response to Twitter and we got to give the world some sort of text-based social media platform. So Instagram Threads gained 100 million users in 14 days. Obviously, it's because of the backing they had with the true Instagram app. They were able to forward everyone there. But we thought, hey, what better time is it than now to learn how to A, build apps, and B, rebuild a really popular app. So today we're going to jump into FlutterFlow and we're going to rebuild a popular app called Instagram Threads. So I hope you all can see my screen. I'm going to just quickly stop sharing and I'm going to reshare just so I am positive y'all can see my screen. So I've prepared a few documents for us to be successful in this workshop today. Number one is the Google Doc I have here. I'm going to share this with you all and put it in the Zoom chat. Everyone should have access to this. And as I move forward in today's presentation, we have Coach Moses, our head coach and newly appointed co-founder, in the chat. So if y'all have any questions throughout this workshop, feel free to jump in the chat, ask any questions. Moses will help you out there. Zion is also on the back burner. Today is Zion's birthday, so I just want to give a little round of applause for Zion. He's been crushing it. So as you open up the document, I'm going to include a few links there. So number one is Firebase. And as you follow the instructions, you'll see I instructed everyone to open up a few different links. So before we jump in, I want everyone to open up FlutterFlow, Firebase, and I even prepared, well, I didn't make it, but our designer prepared a UI kit, especially for this workshop in the last couple of days, which is a Threads clone branded by Ambitious Labs. So we have Ambitious Threads, and this is a UI kit that we just put together. It's got the core features of a Threads-based or a tweet-based app. So as you can see, we have a feed, we have a create new post, and we have a profile page. Above all, we have an authentication flow because almost every app out there has an authentication flow where a user needs to create an account. So today, if y'all have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm going to bring it to life. I'm going to explore with you all the fundamentals of app development and all in layman's terms, in simple terms, as if none of y'all know how to code. Someone asked me if there's a way to increase the screen size. Yes, I'm just going to go full screen. Let me know if that works better. And then I'll try to zoom as much as I can. Thank you for the feedback. Cool. So like I said, we're going to break down everything. We're going to take this UI design and bring it to life. Oftentimes builders will start with the UI, but then they won't know how to bring it to life, or they'll have to go hire a developer. But today we're going to go straight from this UI and we're going to bring it to life using FlutterFlow. So I'm going to copy this link to Figma and I'm going to share it with all of you in the Zoom chat. All of you should have access to this. And I will break down exactly what we're going to do. I'm just going ahead and creating some links for us all. Beautiful. Gorgeous. And I've also created an assets folder that all of you can access some downloadable files that we'll need over the next 1 hour. So there's two ways you can approach this workshop with me. You can either sit back and watch and just get excited about building your own app idea with us, or you can follow along. I'm going to do my best to go step by step. We will publish a recording, but only to people who are on this call. It's not going to be a public recording. And so you can go back and watch me go through it one more time on your own pace, step by step. So by the end of this workshop today, we are going to take this UI kit and bring it to life. Okay. So I see a few people are running around in Figma. If you've never used Figma before, this is a great time to open up your first UI kit, create an account on Figma.com. Figma is a collaborative UI design tool. It's like the industry standard UI design tool. So by learning Figma, you can learn how to do graphic design, UI design, website design, and so much more. All of you are probably trying to like manipulate this, but it's a locked file. You can only view it. So if you're watching my screen and you want to create your own copy of this UI kit, go to the top of the file and tap on duplicate here. Once you hit duplicate, it will ask you to rename the file so you can save it to your own account. And once it's in your own account, you can modify this whole UI kit on your own. Cool? Awesome. I love seeing everyone run around there. This document you should also have open in another tab. I've noted down a few settings here that you're going to need, like some of our app icon file settings, the theme colors, and some of our theme fonts. And I've even included a sample image of our database design. And after this workshop as well, based on the questions we get in the chat and what's not been covered, we're going to add to this and make sure it's all fleshed out so y'all can build your own apps from this workshop guide. Cool. Awesome. So let's get started, huh? You guys should have the UI kit open, and that will tell you what exactly we're building. The next step from here is to go to app.flutterflow.io and open up FlutterFlow. FlutterFlow is our favorite, I hope you know, our favorite no-code mobile app builder and web app builder for that matter. FlutterFlow is different in other mobile app, FlutterFlow is different than other no-code tools out there in that when you drag and drop and you actually build an app, it's writing code underneath the hood. So a lot of us entrepreneurs, we're always thinking about our millionth user, even though we shouldn't be. FlutterFlow handles that millionth user objection where no matter what tool you're using, you can scale to 1 million users using FlutterFlow because you're writing code under the hood. You can detach from FlutterFlow at any time and you have the Flutter code with you. You can hire a Flutter developer and scale from there. But it should take you a while before you get to that point where you're scaling. But the name of the game right now is to build something yourself. So if you don't think that you can build an app yourself, in the next 45 minutes, we're going to completely turn that around. So I'm going to assume you have FlutterFlow open. And next, I'm going to hit Create New to create a new project. I'm going to call this project Ambitious Threads, and you can call it whatever you'd like. FlutterFlow does offer some incredible templates, and you can use them if you want. But we're going to start from scratch because if you can build from scratch, you can build from any template. Okay. The next step is to set up our project. So we have here our setup options. We have project name. We'll leave it Ambitious Threads. My package name, I'm going to leave the same for simplicity. And one thing we will have to do is set up Firebase. Firebase is a backend as a service. It's a no-code backend that allows you to read and write to a database without having to write any code. So in app development, you have a front end and you have a back end. Your front end is what you tap and touch and feel. Your back end is what your front end is talking to. It's like the brain of your application. These backends used to be super, super hard to provision. You'd have to set up servers and pay a bunch of money per month. But Google made their own backend as a service that you can connect to and read and write data from. Think of it like a really complicated Google Sheets. Okay. So make sure Setup Firebase is turned on and we'll hit next step. Don't go too fast because from here, we need to actually create a Firebase account. So without going to the tutorial, I'm going to just show you how to do it in the most simple way possible. We'll open up our Firebase console, and I've given you the link to that here in your document. And yes, I remember someone did say I need to make my screen a lot bigger. So I will do that. And feel free just to spam the chat if you need me to do something and you need our help, and we'll make sure we get it done. I hope that's better. Can I get a thumbs up from everyone if they're able to read what's going on the screen? I usually like asking for thumbs up in the chat. So just hit me with a thumbs up emoji real quick, just so I know things are going good on y'all's side. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, sounds good. Thank you for giving me the thumbs up. I'm a big fan of reactions. Okay, cool. So we're going to open up our Firebase console by clicking on Firebase, and that should take us to console.firebase.google.com. And here's where we're going to set up our Firebase project. Tap on Add Project, and here in our project name, I'm going to say Ambitious Threads. Okay, and just hit Continue. I recommend turning off Google Analytics for now. We'll come back to it later. Hit Create Project. We'll let that spin up. And what this is doing is creating an account for us on Firebase, or a project for us on Firebase that we can connect our front end to. And then once we have this set up, we can start reading and writing data, and we can set up user accounts all in literally 5 minutes, which is absolutely insane. Cool. So we have our account set up. We have our project set up. And the next step from here is to go to your project settings here at the top left. Hit project settings. Okay. From here, what you need to look for is your project ID, because this is how FlutterFlow is going to know where to connect to. So I want you to copy this project ID, hit Command C or copy, depending on whatever system you're using. You can even right click and hit copy. Then go back to FlutterFlow, paste your project ID, and hit connect. Okay, we should get an error at the bottom. It says FlutterFlow does not have access to this Firebase account. Please add Firebase at flutterflow.io as an editor to this project. So that means we need to give Firebase access to FlutterFlow, or vice versa. We need to give FlutterFlow access to Firebase. So I'm going to hit connect again to get that error to show up. And then I'm going to copy the email address that it wants me to add as an editor. So I copied the email. And just to make it easy for y'all, I'm going to post that email. Just added that for y'all in the document. Then I'm going to head back to Firebase, go to project settings with using the gear at the top left, and I'm going to tap users and permissions. Okay. Hit add member, and we're going to paste that email address here. So essentially what we're doing is we're giving FlutterFlow access to our Firebase account as in editor. Okay. Then hit done and add member. Now, FlutterFlow should be able to talk to Firebase. Okay. At this point, we can go back to FlutterFlow, hit connect, and we should get a nice big check mark. This means that our connection is successful. If you missed a step here, ask in the chat. We'll be happy to help you out. The next step from here is to auto-generate your config files. This is just one of the steps in the process to connect FlutterFlow to Firebase. And don't worry, it's not always this tricky and setup oriented. Once you get these things connected, it's pretty straightforward from there. Now I'm going to hit generate files. Gorgeous. And at this point, it looks like we're good. Enable authentication, we want to toggle to true because we are going to implement a login and sign up functionality in this app. And then we're also going to set user collection to on as well, because this will automatically add a users collection to Firestore for logged in users. What did I just say? Okay, so collections. This is where we start talking about databases, right? So when a user creates an account on our app, we're going to save that account information to our database. Because if Manisha creates an account, I need to know that Manisha has an account. If Moses has an account, I need to know that Moses has an account. So what this is saying is, hey, when a user creates an account, we want to add that user as a record in our database so that we can keep track of how many users we have. We'll get into collections more, but at a high level, that's what we're doing. At the third step here, select initial pages. The entry page is currently unset. It knows that we don't have any pages. So what I'd like to do here is, let's see, can we hit start building? Yes, we can. Hit start building and let's leave those two settings unset. I know things are going to break, but that's because I want to do it a certain way. So at this point, you should now land on your FlutterFlow app here. And this is what a blank app looks like. And this is what the FlutterFlow editor looks like. So this is your drag and drop canvas that you hear so much about. Many of y'all are seeing FlutterFlow for the first time. Many of y'all have been here before. So this is your beautiful drag and drop editor where you can actually start putting your app together. So on the left-hand side here, you have a bunch of widgets that you can just drag and drop and put on your app. And just to show you how that works, if I wanted to like take this button, I can just drag it and drop it here. And boom, now you see how we're building an app. Okay, before I get there, I want to just ensure that a couple of things are working. The first thing you want to do is check to see what these bugs are. You're almost always going to have, well, not always, but as you work on your app, you will encounter bugs. And it's important that you always glance at the top right to see what bugs you have, because you need to fix them in advance. Otherwise, if you let them pile up, it's going to be a nightmare. Most of these bugs have to do with setup. As you can see, once I tap on my bug explorer here, I see Firebase setup, Auth page setup. The cool thing about FlutterFlow is that when you click on any of these items, it will actually take you to where you need to go. Okay, so let's start by clicking here and we'll work our way from the bottom. So my first bug is project uses Firestore, but Android config file is not uploaded. So I'm going to click on that and it'll take me here. Then I'm going to hit auto generate config files and hit generate files again. And our goal right now is to get FlutterFlow to be happy. And again, this isn't something that you always have to do, but it's important that you develop this mindset of fixing things as they come. Okay, so I think we just went from 7 to 2. Okay, cool. Nice. And so the last two are auth page setup. Project has authentication, but logged in page is not specified. The next one is project has authentication, but entry page is not specified. Cool. What that means is that since we enabled authentication in our app, and authentication means login and sign up, right? That's authentication means like login system. Since we enabled that system to be on, we have to tell our app, hey, where should a user go if they're logged in? And where should they go if they're logged out? Because there's definitely some pages that we don't want our user to see if they're logged out, right? So let's go back to that error and just tap on any of the items here, and we'll see lots of red. And FlutterFlow does a great job at screaming at us when it doesn't like something. Okay, so one of the errors we have here is error, entry page and logged in page must be different. So what this is saying is that, hey, you need to specify a page when a user is not logged in, and you need to specify a page when a user is logged in. So if you're a brand new user, where do you go? And if you're a returning user, where do you go? I hope I've drilled that in. Okay. So right now in our app, we only have one page. It's just the home page. So what we need to do is create another page that will be the page that we take a user to if they're not logged in. Only logged in users should see our homepage because this is ultimately going to become the feed that we build for our Twitter clone, IG Threads clone. Okay. So on the left side pane here, I'm going to slow down because I know I'm pretty used to this. This is your editor, or this is your menu bar. Each one of these icons takes you somewhere different. Where we want to go right now is the widget tree, which is the second item here. Your widget tree will tell you exactly what's going on with the current page that you're on. Okay. And it also allows you to manage pages and add new pages. Okay. So with your second option enabled, your widget tree, navigate to the orange icon that says new page. And what we want to do here is create a new page. And there was one that I really liked that looked just like our UI kit, which was called onboarding 3. And before I click it, I'm just going to toggle over to my UI kit. If you notice here, I'm going to open both side by side. I just want to open both side by side to show y'all how similar they are. So this one here, it's an icon with some text here and then 2 buttons, sign up with email, sign up with Google. I like how this template is pretty close, right? It doesn't have an icon, but it has a background image and it has text in the middle and a few buttons. I think it's close enough. And the name of the game as a no-code builder is to not just be close enough, but to work smarter and not harder. Okay, so instead of rebuilding this from scratch, I'm going to use this template. Okay, tap on use my theme and then call this page welcome and hit create page. Okay, so going forward, I'm going to keep both things open in 2 separate tiles. Okay, let me just fix my. Okay, that should help. Hope everybody can see that. Gorgeous. So with our FlutterFlow new page built, we can actually go get FlutterFlow to stop being mad at us. We'll go to the settings tab. Okay. And at the settings tab here on the bottom left, you'll open up your app settings menu. And the first item here is your app details under general. Click on app details and we can navigate to the red that's mad at us. Entry page, let's make that welcome, which is the new page we just created. And logged in page, let's make it home page. So now what we've done is we said, hey, brand new user, when you're brand new, go to welcome. And when you're logged in and we know you, go to home. Okay. And notice at the top right now, all my bugs are gone. So we've officially leveled out our project. And it's important that every time you work with FlutterFlow, you try to keep your project leveled out. Otherwise, you just won't know where to start. Okay, so we've successfully created that page. Now, before we get too far and start designing this page, I want to make sure that we set up our theme. And your theme will make your life so easy as a developer because you don't have to go change colors everywhere and change fonts and change background colors. You just set it once and then FlutterFlow will automatically blanket it across your app and you'll be able to build pages like this. Okay. So on the left side, one of the items in your left side column is the second to last one. It's called your theme settings. Okay. Your theme settings allow you to change the theme across your whole app. Okay. So you tap on theme settings and the first thing we want to do is go to colors. I've already prepared an entire theme for you. You can copy it from Figma or you can just go to the document that I've created for y'all. And if you scroll to the bottom, your theme colors are here. So each theme color, you can copy and paste directly into FlutterFlow. So let's start from the top and go primary color. Okay, I'm going to copy this 6-digit primary color code. Go back to FlutterFlow. And right here on light mode theme, I'm going to tap on primary and paste it here. Paste the one I took from the document here. And I'm going to repeat that again for all the other colors. This one's secondary. I'm going to tap on secondary, paste it. Primary background color. It's not tertiary, it's primary background color. So it's under utility colors. Paste that here too. Okay. And then secondary background color, copy that. Paste it here. Okay. Primary text color is white, which is just 6 Fs. So where to go? Primary text color. Why am I missing it? Oh, primary text color right here. The first one in utilities. Secondary text color. We're going to copy that. Bring it here. Hit use color. And then alternate is white again. So alternate is the top one under brand. Okay. I'll give you all a couple seconds to finalize that. Beautiful. The next thing from here is to disable dark mode, because this will cause problems if we don't properly enable dark mode. And since we don't have much time today, we're going to disable dark mode to keep things simple. Okay, beautiful. Awesome. So you set up your colors, and the next step is to set up your fonts. The font that I'm using in Figma here, if I just drill into the font by clicking it a bunch of times, you'll see here that the font I'm using is called Work Sans. Okay. And FlutterFlow has Work Sans built in. We intentionally use that font. So by going to typography and icons here, you can go to font family on the right-hand side. You see here, font family, and search for Work Sans, and you'll find it. So what you're doing here is you're saying, hey, FlutterFlow, every time I use display fonts or headline fonts or title fonts, use this style. That way, if you have a big piece of text, you don't have to check the font size across every page. You can just say, hey, give me a headline large. And a headline large is set up to look like this. And this keeps consistency across your app. Consistency is important. If you have one page that has a 28 pixel font and another page that has a 26 pixel font, and you do that repeatedly throughout your app, you have different size fonts everywhere, your app's going to look cheap and people aren't going to trust it. They're not going to pay you money for it. They're not going to pay you as a developer to build an app for them. These are techniques that the best developers were using traditionally as code writers. But now this no code tool makes that super easy for us to build extremely high quality apps. Okay. We're going to leave the typography system alone because generally FlutterFlow did a good job with like the color, or excuse me, the font size. All we got to do is make sure that the font family is correct. So we're going to change all of these from primary family to Work Sans. You can leave them the same too. Like if you really don't want to like change them, like that's totally fine. You can always come back and do it later. I'm just going to do it now to make things quick. But it may seem like work right now. You're like, oh, I don't want to change all those. But I'm telling you, when you don't have to do it later and you can just focus on like building the app and not like all the fonts, it's going to make your life so much easier. I'm telling you. So just change them all to Work Sans. Like you do the work once at the beginning and then you don't have to do it later. Thank me later. Just playing. Okay. Gorgeous. So now we'll go back to your UI builder, which is the first tab in your FlutterFlow left sidebar. And notice how our app kind of looks cool. It's not quite there yet, but it looks cool. Let's start matching it, huh? So what do we do here? The first thing we got to do is remove the cutting board from the back. How do we find that cutting board? Well, if I click on container, if I click where the cutting board kind of is, like kind of hover over it, you'll see that this container lights up. If I click on the container, I'm actually activating the container. We know we've activated the container if we click on the widget tree here and look at the tree itself. So this tree right here shows you how your app is unfolding with elements. Elements are things on the screen. So buttons, text, images, those are called elements. Okay. So your widget tree is a tree of elements. It shows you how your elements are landing out on the page. And this is a really important concept to understand because as you have complex pages, your widget tree will get complex as well. So click on your container and now your widget tree will activate. And notice your left side pane also, right. I promise I passed my driver's exam. The right side pane changes depending on what you have active. So if I have my container active, the right side pane is going to change the properties of my container. Every different widget has different properties. So it's important to always look at what widget is activated because depending on the widget that's activated, you will see different settings on the right page, on the right side. Okay, so let's talk about a couple things. So with this container activated, what we're looking for is a background image that we got to remove. So this particular container, if I scroll down, I'll see that there's an item here called background image. If I drop it down, I notice there's nothing here. So this isn't the container that has a background image. You're probably wondering, why did you just waste my time? Well, I'm not wasting your time. I'm trying to encourage a problem-solving mindset. I want you to identify, like, try something, see if your hypothesis or your test is true. If it's not, go try something else. Because in app development, that's the name of the game. You're not going to always know what's working. So we checked this container, it didn't work. Let's check another one to see if we can find that background image to remove. Okay, so I highlighted this container that's above it. And I'm going to go to the right side pane. I'm going to scroll down. I'll drop the background image. Oh, and what do you know? There's some information here. The background image type is network, and there's this whole string. This string represents the image. So I'm going to actually Command A or copy all and delete it. I'm going to delete everything inside of paths. And notice that the background image went away. Okay. I wonder if there's anything else that we can get rid of here. Is there a gradient? Because I see some gradient hanging out in the back. There's not on that second container. But as you see, when I clicked on container and I went back to the old one, there is a gradient. You see this toggle on? And when I toggle off the gradient, it goes away. So each individual element on your widget tree has its own set of properties. And so get used to looking at the properties, because this will save you a lot of time. Beautiful. So now we're starting to see our app kind of come together. First, let's change the text here. Let's copy what we have here. Twitter is dead, so we rebuilt it. How do you change text in FlutterFlow? You're probably wondering. You click on the text, and in the right side pane, because that's where all your properties are, you have this text property or text option. Notice how it says join us and cook with confidence. I'm going to remove all this, and instead I'm going to type Twitter is dead, comma, so we rebuilt it. Boom. That's how you change text. And I'm just going to go double check what my font size was in Figma. And I can do that by clicking a few times and seeing that it was 36. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to text, scroll down, find the text properties that says display medium, theme text styles. And I'm going to say display small because that's a 36. And we don't want it to be quite semi-bold, so we'll change it to medium. Okay, cool. Gorgeous. We got the first screen. All right. The next step is to put this icon on the page. Okay, but how do we do that? What we can do is go to your UI builder. Or here, let's try something different actually. Instead of going to the UI builder, click on the text and find the container that's holding your text. So you have text here and a container. There's a bunch of ways that you can put elements on the screen. One is you can literally just drag and drop it, or the other is you can click on this icon here in a specific element, and this element is a container. Containers are used to group other elements. It's a little more of an advanced concept of UI layouts, which we'll get into in we have this in our actual course, and we have this in the Accelerator program. But so all you got to know is that containers group elements together. You can click add a child to this widget. And then inside this, we will click on image, and we'll want to wrap the image in a column. You're probably like, why? Just trust me on this one, and we can explain it further. So what just happened, right? So what happened was the container needed another element to hold the text and the image together. And since we want it to lay top to bottom, we used a column. Columns lay images top to bottom, and rows lay out rows lay out elements from left to right. Okay, so we got this image here. And we want the image, of course, on top of the text. So what we can do is take this image here and just drag it in our widget tree, and it will group itself above. Okay. Then what I'll do is I'll click on the image, and I actually want to change this image out to the image that's in my Figma, right? So I've given you all the file, the Google Drive file, and there is two icons here. The one I want you to look for is called icon welcome. Okay, I want you to download this somewhere safe on your computer. It can be in your downloads or what have you. I already have mine downloaded, so I'm not going to do that. Okay, and then I'm going to click on the image, go to the right-hand side to find my image properties. Okay, and you see down here, it says image type network. We're going to change image type network to asset. Okay, and asset just means we're going to upload the image. Cool, now we're going to tap upload image. And we will find icon welcome wherever we saved it. Okay, and we're going to hit enter or go. And this will upload the image into our app. Boom. And if I go check Figma to see what the size of this is, I believe it's 142 by 142. So we do that by just double clicking. And in the top right, you'll see some properties here. Width and height, 142, 142, which means in FlutterFlow, we just got to copy 142 over here. And boom, now you see that coming together. Then the next step is to take this column that's holding my stuff together, and we want to align everything to the center because right now it's pushed up top, right? We want to bring it to the center. So columns have properties too, and one of those properties is called main axis alignment. Okay, and notice there's a few different options. We can say top, center, bottom, spread even, spread close, spread between. We're going to use this end here. Oops. Cool. And now you see that I have my content kind of nice and center. Beautiful. So we've built out the majority of this welcome page. And I know it's taken us a little bit of time, but we'll move through the rest of this a little bit more speedier because now I've introduced you to all the fundamentals. So going forward in this workshop, I'm not going to stop and explain all the fundamentals anymore because you should know what widget tree is now. You should know where to find your UI builder. You should know how to use the right side pane. You probably aren't used to all the properties just yet, but you probably are used to the fact that, hey, if I want to click on something and change something about it, I need to click on it, make sure it's visible and toggled in the widget tree, and then go to the right side and do a lot of trial and error to find out what I'm looking for. I'm going to assume that you have that mindset now. So I'm going to work a little bit more in flow and not so much stop and go. Hope that's cool with everybody. I'm going to take a quick 30 seconds to take a sip of water and check the chat. Thanks, Liz. Yeah, she's right. Wrapping column. Looks like everyone's doing good. No questions. Wow. You can tell we've been doing this for a little while. Very nice. And thank you, Moses, for handling the questions. Beautiful. Let's keep moving. All right. So the first thing that's obvious is that these buttons are round when our buttons need to be square. So again, we're going to click on the button and we're going to find the border radius property. And I know these properties like by my heart because I've been a developer and I know CSS really well. As you guys also learn how to build apps, you're going to know all the properties that exist too. It just takes a little bit of time. Cool. So I'm going to click button, scroll down, find border radius, and I'm going to adjust this border radius to 10. And that will give me a very similar border radius to this button. If I drill in on the button in Figma, actually, I notice my border radius is 5. So I'm going to go back and drop my border radius to 5. Okay. I have 2 buttons, sign up with email, sign up with Google. So I'm going to get rid of this sign up with Facebook button by clicking on it and deleting. I'm going to click on this sign up with Google by clicking on it and deleting. I'm going to click on or use social media and delete it. Then I'm going to right click on this button and hit duplicate because they're both pretty much the same exact buttons. I'm just going to change the second one to say sign up with Google. In this workshop, we're not going to implement Google sign-in, but we're going to leave it there anyways. The next thing we need to do is change this icon. And the icons are a property of button. They're just all the way at the bottom. You can click on icon, search for Google, find font awesome, which is a different font library. And you can just tap on the Google icon and that will get it going. Lastly, we have to update this login and get rid of that underline. So I'm going to click on this rich text. And at the top right, you're going to see the text. we are going to scroll, where'd it go? Found it. Okay, so we're going to click on this rich text, and under text span 2, on the right-hand side, here's where we see the text properties. We're just going to click on that, and that will give us the styling property panel, and we're just going to undo the underline. You can keep it there if you want. Okay, and then lastly, I'm going to change my already have an account. I'm going to change that text color to secondary text color. And that was set in our theme. So now we should have something very similar. My font size needs to be dropped a little bit. So I'm going to click on the buttons and drop my font size to 14. So I'm going to click on font size here and go 14. And here as well, I'm going to say 14. Gorgeous. And if we want to change the icon sizes, we can scroll all the way to the bottom and change those to 14 as well. Okay. Sorry, kind of did that out of order, but hey, we just matched our first page and y'all should be pretty proud of yourself. Cool. So we'll keep moving. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go pixel perfect, but you can tell that we're going to try our best. The next step from here is to rebuild one of the next pages, which will be create an account and log into your account. These 2 pages, we're going to utilize templates, so they're going to move pretty snappily. Okay. So let's go to your widget tree, hit new page. Okay, scroll down, and we're going to find create account 1. Okay, you see this, create account 1, hit use my theme, and we're just going to title it create account like this. And notice how I capitalize C and A, and then hit create page, and boom, we have create account. I'm just going to get scrappy here, remove this logo. Okay, and I'm going to tap on the UI builder, and I'm going to search for a widget called icon button. So I'm going to type the word icon up here and take an icon button and move it inside the gradient container. You see there's a container named gradient. I'm going to just drop an icon button in there. And what I want to do with this icon button is I want to put a back arrow inside of it. So I'll click on the icon button, and you guessed it, the icon is a property of the icon button. So I'm going to scroll down and tap on the button, search for arrow. I'm going to find a backwards arrow right here. Okay. Then I'm going to change the fill color to secondary background. I'm going to change the border color to secondary. No, I'm going to change the fill color to primary background. Sorry. And I'll leave everything else the same. But what I need to do now is give it some padding, right? I need to make it align with the rest of the stuff. So I'm going to figure out how much padding is there by finding another container. And I see that this container has 32 pixels of padding on the left and the right. So what I'm going to do is click on this gradient container, and I'm also going to add 32 pixels of padding. And I'm going to hit this lock icon to get rid of the constraint, and I'm going to get rid of these constraints on the top and the bottom. Okay. So now I should have a lock icon, and it looks pretty similar. Cool. And I'm going to say create an account. I'll leave this the same. Email, password, confirm password. We don't need a confirm password, so I'm going to delete this. And instead, I'm going to duplicate the email, and the top email input field is going to be our username input field. And I'll slow down here for just a moment. So right now you should have 2 email addresses because I just right-clicked my first email address and hit duplicate. But what we need to do is change this first one to username. So we click on email address, and in your right side properties pane, you see here at the top, text field email address. Let's click on this pencil and change the name of this widget to username. What this is going to do is it's going to create a name for this specific element so that we know later, hey, this text input field is for username. It's just a way to name it. Okay. So we'll click on username, and then we'll scroll down a bit, and we'll find the label properties, and let's change this to username. Because in Twitter and IG threads, they use usernames to identify their customers, right? Okay. Beautiful. I'm not going to match this pixel for pixel because I want to move quicker. But I do notice that I have a nice bug up here. Okay. And it says auth action. Auth action has improperly set confirm password. Okay. What that means is that there's something out there in my code looking for that confirm password field. But obviously that confirm password field is gone now, so we need to fix it. So to click on this and see what it gets mad about. Okay. So what you just opened up is your action flow editor. Okay. Your action flow editor is the place you go to actually make stuff happen when you click on buttons. So when I click on create account, something's going to happen, and that something is defined in your action flow editor. So up till now, we were used to working outside of this properties pane on the right side, right? This properties pane on the right. Notice that there's more panes that we can toggle from. This pane right here, the second one with the arrow, is called your action flow editor. And this will allow you to like hook up features and functionality when users click on your element. So what I'm going to do is hit action flow editor right here. And right here, this action is a piece of code that's going to run when a user taps on when the user taps on create account. So what's happening here actually is our app is actually trying to create an account, and it's looking for a confirm password field, but since we don't have one, it's empty. You see that, how it's empty? What we got to do is just trick it to think that there is a confirm password by just setting the password. Okay. So let's just update this to password. And if I hit close, this used to work. I think they must have updated it. Okay, so instead of tricking it, I think it got smarter because I used to just trick it. Instead of tricking it, let's actually create a confirm password field, and you should know how to do that. Let's right click password, hit duplicate, and then change the name of this second one to confirm password like that. Okay. And now we can go back to that bug by clicking on our bug inspector, clicking on the bug item, and in the confirm password field on this right-hand side, we can tap on confirm password. And I think now we should get that bug to go away. Cool. Looks like Liz was able to figure it out a different way. That's cool. All right. So I'm going to click on confirm password, and I'm going to update this label text to say confirm password. Awesome. And now here's a trick that Coach Moses taught me. Rather than building a new page from scratch, we're just going to right click in our widget tree on the create account page. And we're just going to duplicate this page. And we're going to create a new page that looks exactly the same called create account copy. And with the page activated here, in your right side properties panel, we can rename this page and let's call it login. And so Moses taught me, hey, just your login page looks the exact same. You might as well just duplicate it and just change some stuff around. So I've changed the name of my page from create account copy to login. If you even activate like the top layer of your widget tree, you should be able to change the name because the widget you have activated is called a scaffold. That's another fancy word for a page. You should be able to change the name. So I'm going to start just by changing some of this text. I'm going to say login to your account. Okay. And then here I'm going to say enter your email and password. Then I'm going to get rid of a bunch of stuff, right? I don't need the username. I just need email and password. And then instead of this button saying create account, it just needs to say login. Okay. Right. So login. So I got login to your account, and I'm going to scroll to the right here, and I'm just going to drop this from 36 pixels to actually we can keep it the same because that's the same font it is there. I'm not going to mess with it. Okay. So we have log into your account, and at the bottom here, we got to change this rich text to say, don't have an account, because we want to give users an option to create an account if they don't have one and they accidentally landed here, right? So I'm going to change this to don't have an account. And I'm going to get rid of this text span too by hitting on the trash can and getting rid of it completely. Then I will align it to the right by looking at the alignment property and just tapping on the right dot here. This alignment property allows you to change the alignment based on where it is in a container. So I'm just going to align it to the right. Okay. Fantastic. Let's take a quick sec to look at our errors. So we probably are getting errors again for like the button clicks. So real quick, let's change this from create account to login, right? And then let's go look at our errors. It says auth action has properly set, auth action has improperly set confirm password. Then we say auth action with email provider must specify a valid email. So it's just mad at us for two things. Okay, so let's click on it and drill in it. First of all, we don't want to create an account when we click on the login button, right? We want to log in. So our action is just straight up wrong. So what I want y'all to do is let's build our first action from scratch. So let's remove this action by clicking on the three-dot menu here and hitting delete action, and then tap on remove. Okay. We want no actions on the page, because what we're going to do here is we're actually going to hook up our own action for login. Okay. Tap on login and then go back to the action flow editor. You may already have it open. Now I'm going to click on add action. And the action that we're looking for is a type of action for authentication, right? So it's an authentication action, and I'm going to search for it by typing the word login. Okay. And if you drop down this menu bar that says backend database, you're going to see that we found a Firebase authentication action called login. So boom, now we just tell it in plain English, hey, when a user taps on this button, I just want to log them in. And this is the power of no code, is that you don't have to like write a bunch of code. You just say in English, log in. And how do you want to log in? We're going to log in with email. Say I did a Google login or an Apple login or a Facebook login. We can choose that here, but this particular login is an email. And then what we do is select, hey, use this field to get the email address and the password. So we have two text fields on our page, and FlutterFlow is smart enough to look for text fields to get the input. So the input is email address and the input is password, and boom, like that's all we have to do. And we hit close, and now we have our login functionality integrated. Okay. Awesome. Let's test to see if all this works in just a second here. Okay. Wow. We've retained like 95% of students. This is fantastic. You guys are all awesome. I was not expecting that. I just kind of surprised myself. Fantastic, y'all. So let's test to see if this is working, right? So how do we do that? All right. Well, the first thing we got to test is, hey, like, can I even log into my app, right? And is the user getting created at Firebase? And is my app just even working? So what I want to do first is let's go to homepage. Okay. And let's like repeat the user's username or something if they actually created an account, or let's repeat their email address. So how do we do that? Well, first we have to make sure we're saving the data, right? So how do we know if we're saving the data? Okay. In your left side pane, cool. In your left side pane, the fourth option here is Firestore. Firestore is your database. And at the beginning of the workshop today, you may remember we toggled on that switch that said, turn on user collections. And I gave you a little speech about user like collections and saving the data. So what just happened is Firebase created a collection for us, a collection type called users. And essentially what this is it's saying that, hey, we're going to store a record of a user in a database. But what does a user look like? Well, a user has certain properties. It has a certain definition, right? A user has an email address. A user has a display name, which in our case is our username. A user could upload a profile picture, right? So we have a photo URL. and then a user has an ID that represents them. If you have somebody named Arthur, and then you have another person named Arthur, how do you tell them apart in your app? You tell them apart by having a separate ID. So one Arthur will have ID 1, the other Arthur will have ID 2, because you don't want to use the names because many people can have the same name. So we have a UID that's already set for us as string, and a string is a data type, which we'll get into in our course. We have created time, which is a date time. Essentially, it's just a way to represent a date. And then we have a phone number. And we just have this in case we want to display the phone number or take the phone number in. But essentially what y'all just got crash coursed into is database design. And this used to be this huge daunting thing that you had to go to college for to learn database design. But now, as long as you can think like a no-coder, you can now design a database. I'm telling you, as someone who's been building apps for 10 years, this is absolutely game-changing. Like, it may seem easy to y'all, but like the fact that we've gotten to this point where in one single tool, we can build a front end and a database and connect them is absolutely mind-blowing. And if you think about where we're going to be in 5 years, coders aren't going to exist. I'm straight up saying it. There might be some level of customization. There will be some level of customization, but the hard work of building an app is completely gone because of how crispy a lot of these no-code tools are. And this is just one set of no-code tools, y'all. There's hundreds of no-code tools out there. And so, yeah, if you have an idea, you can absolutely bring it to life. We're just getting started. Okay, so we have the user schema there. I hope y'all hyped up. Cool, so we have the user schema there. The next thing we got to do is see if we can get the email address of the logged in user to show up on the page. Okay, so I'm going to take this piece of text and drop it here in our homepage. I'm going to slow down and do that again. Take this piece of text, drop it here. And now what we want to do is we want to read the email of the logged in user. This is a very important concept too, where you can access data that belongs to a user. So instead of removing this hello world, I want you to click on the orange icon. And this allows you to read data from some certain property. Then you have all these properties at your fingertips, but the one we're looking for is authenticated user, because these are properties that will be available for the user who signed in. So if Elizabeth is signed in, her user properties will be available to her. And if Bill is signed in, his user properties will be enabled for him. So instead of not user ID, I'm just going to say available options email and hit confirm. So now if we did this right, when we log a user in, we're going to see their email address pop up. All right, let's test this out. So how do you test your app? Well, you don't just do it inside here. On the top right, you see this lightning bolt. This lightning bolt allows you to actually build the app so that you can either share it with your friends or test it yourself. So here on the bottom, I'm going to say use test mode for faster integration. I'm going to click on the test icon. Excuse me, the test button. And that will run the app in your test mode simulator. And this is a simulator that will show you what your app will look like. And as you make changes in FlutterFlow, you'll notice this update in real time. Pretty cool. Let's get a time check here. All right, so it's 7:02. We planned for this to go to 7:30. We got a little bit of functionality left. We may not get to the profile page. We should be able to get to feed and create post. I hope that's cool with everyone, because I don't want y'all to leave without learning how to create objects in the database, and I don't want you to leave without knowing how to read objects from the database. Perhaps I can finish the program by myself, and then when I post the recording, you can get access to the profile page when I post the recording. But I hope we're all good for 30 more minutes, at least. I'll probably keep going, and we can keep building the rest of the app together. Boom. So we have a beautiful app on the page. And if you got this far, you should be really proud of yourself. You literally built a real Flutter app. You've written code, believe it or not. So boom, you have your homepage, and we have our options here. If I click sign up with email, it doesn't do anything. Well, damn. we forgot to hook up the action to bring the user to one page to another. And I did this on purpose. I knew that wasn't going to work because nothing's going to work right the first time. You got to be patient in app development and be okay with things not working right the first time. And that's what's going to make you a good app developer. Most people are going to try to get instant gratification and they're going to give up. And that's why 0.000001% of the world, if not smaller, successfully build apps and launch their products because it's really damn hard. So if you're here, you're already in that micro percentile, just be a little patient, know that it's a long game, and be willing to fail and be okay with failing. I fail every dang day when I build my app. Nothing works right the first time. So I'm going to spare you from a motivational speech and we're going to jump in and fix this. Okay. So with that sign up with email button, we got to tell our app to take us to the sign up page, right? So we're going to click on the button, go to our properties pane, find the action flow editor, and notice how these things are just kind of flowing in my brain. Over time, it's going to flow in your brain too. I noticed one of our students, Riley, he might even be here, but he started kind of bumpy. And now he's like, I can't even keep up with him when I'm on coaching calls with him. And each one of you are going to be like that too. And it's going to be awesome. Cool. So click on the button, open up your action flow editor, and notice we have no actions here. So when we click on the button, nothing happens, right? So let's click on add action. And this action that we have is called navigation. And we're going to find the navigate to action. And this is an action that takes a user from one place to another, hence the word navigation. So when a user clicks on create account with email, we're going to take them to the create account page. Here you can do some extra options for how you want to navigate, but I'm just going to leave it there and hit close. Okay. Then I'm going to go back to my test mode editor. Oh, sorry. There was like 3 people hanging out in the waiting room. Then I'm going to go back to my test mode editor. I'm going to hit instant reload. And this is just going to take all your changes like this in a second. This is a game changer too. I used to wait minutes to rerun my code, if not an hour sometimes, to rerun my code and see it update in real time. So now when I click sign up with email, I just got taken to the right page. So now you're seeing the power of how you can just click, drag, drop, point, and build an app. Okay. When I click on this back arrow, nothing happens. That's okay, because now I know how to fix it. I just got to go tie an action to it. So we'll go to create account, click on the icon button, go to the action flow editor, add an action, navigate to, and go back to the welcome page, hit close. Okay. Instant reload. Okay. Now I'll click sign up with email. Probably did it too fast. Navigate to welcome. I don't know. Create an account. Maybe I clicked it too fast, actually. Sometimes that happens too, where like the code hasn't updated underneath and you tried to instant reload it. So nothing another instant reload can't fix. Sign up with email. Haha, see, that was exactly it. Since you're writing code underneath the hood, sometimes it will just take a second. All right, now let's try to create an account. I'm gonna hit sign up with email and I'm gonna say username Alim. I'm gonna say email, test email, alim@live.com. I'm gonna do Alim123 for my password and I'm gonna hit create account. Okay, an unknown error occurred. Firebase error, auth configuration not found. So this is pretty typical once you're getting started, like something's not gonna be set up correctly. So I'm gonna go back to my settings. Okay, and I'm gonna tap on authentication and I see this all looks good. Cool, 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 cool. What I'm gonna do is go back to Firebase. In my left side pane in Firebase, I'm gonna find the build tab and you should see here a product called authentication. I'm gonna click on authentication and I'm taken to the authentication homepage. This is where you're gonna see all your users pop up as you implement authentication. So notice here, I actually forgot to set up authentication and that's okay. Again, it's all part of the mindset. You're not gonna do things right the first time. Click get started and this should activate the authentication for your project. Now, since we're only implementing email and password authentication, I can click on email password and tap on enable and hit save. Now I've allowed my Firebase project to use email password authentication. Now we'll go back to test mode and I'll hit create account. The email address is badly formatted. How do you think my email address is badly formatted? Sometimes it will try to enforce some email validation. Invalid email, huh? That's definitely a real email. Perhaps what's happened is we haven't configured the action correctly. So we have auth provider email. Email field is not username. Email field is email address. Password field is password. Confirm password is confirm password. Okay. So y'all got to make sure that in your create account action, that each one of your data values is pointed to the right place. You're pulling this email from email, and you're pulling password from password and confirm password from confirm password. Okay. And we'll go back to test mode and hit instant reload. Cool. I just checked in on some of the comments. Yeah, we know that people will fall behind. I try not to talk too much like this in the middle because when you're watching the recording, I don't want to burn you out with my dialogue, but we'll keep moving. And our editor will edit some of this out for the production version. Okay. So sign up with email. Okay. And here we're going to say Alim. I'm going to change, do the same stuff again. I'm going to try to create an account. Aha. And this time it looks like my account was created. It didn't take me anywhere, but that's because we didn't set up a navigation. So I'm going to go back to Firebase, hit users, and voila, my first user was created. So this actually works. We just created our first user. So when you go out and you launch your app and you get other people to use it, you're going to see your users pop up here. Okay. But what we didn't do is set up a redirect. So when the authentication succeeds, we need to take somebody to the home page. So we'll click on create account, open the action flow editor, hit plus, add an action after this. So you can string actions together to do more than one thing. So we'll create the account, and when the account gets created, we will navigate to the home page and hit close. Let's go back to test mode and rerun this. To answer a couple questions, we will send you a private link to the recording. This recording will not be posted publicly for many, many reasons. We want you all to be rewarded for being here. And this is a lot of dedication on y'all's side. So we're going to send you guys the link privately. If you signed up for the Partiful link using the SMS, you will get texted a link for sure. But look what we just did. We logged our user in and we can see the user's email address here. So this is absolutely incredible. We can now see the person who's logged in. Okay. Cool. So next, we have two screens to develop, and we're going to move a little bit smoother on this one. We need to build out our feed here, and this won't be too bad, believe it or not. So we'll click on homepage. We'll notice here that we have column, text, app bar, and text. First, I'm going to remove this app bar just to clean up my page. Okay. And then I'm going to remove this column too. At the homepage level, I'm going to navigate. I'm going to navigate to the right-hand side, find the background color and change it to secondary background so it matches my app. Then I'm going to drag a column onto my screen because typically in app development, you start from top to bottom and columns lay stuff out top to bottom. Then I'm going to add a row to keep my content flowing from left to right. And I'm going to stack rows on top of each other. Okay. And then I'll drag an image into that new row like this. Okay. I'm going to go back to my widget tree. I'm going to navigate to the row. I'm going to activate the row. And I'm going to align the row main axis to the middle by tapping on the middle icon here. Okay. And then what we got to do is upload this icon. And I've already provided you guys that icon. It's in the assets kit. So click on image. Click on the image, scroll down, change the image type from network to asset, upload, and change this to icon welcome, which is the transparent version. Okay, and I believe this size is 44 by 44. So we'll go 44, 44. Beautiful. And then we'll activate the row and we'll add 20 points of padding to the top and 20 points of padding to the bottom. And now you got your icon here. Cool. Awesome. So you have a row, or excuse me, you have a column, and then you have a row. Now I want you to add another, what should we do here? We should add another row. Okay. And inside that row, we're going to add a column. I know it's getting a little bit tricky, but we have a row and a column. Okay. So your widget tree should look like this. And what I used to do to the students is I used to copy my widget tree and send it to them. And y'all would make sure that your widget tree looks the same. And don't worry, we will be posting the recording. Okay. So the reason I have the column in here, right, is because now I want to start building out this list. Okay. So what we'll do is I'm going to show you how we can build a list without needing to create all of these at once. We're just going to create one item in the list and the rest will just automatically unfold. So what we'll do here is inside the column, we're going to create a list view. So I'm going to search for a widget called list view, type the word list, grab list view and bring it inside the column or not. Maybe it's because my column has no constraint. So first, let me delete that column and see if this works. Sometimes I make mistakes too. Okay, so I made some mistakes. So instead of those two columns, let me backtrack a bit. Sorry about that, y'all. So instead of the column and the row, I actually want you to delete the column and delete the row. The only row you should have is the row for your icon. Then I want you to take a list view, grab it and drop it inside of your app pane. I apologize for the mistake, but here you go. Column, row, list view. So what a list view does is it allows you to just design one item in the list and it will automatically reproduce that same item for a bunch of items in a list. Lists are very common in app development. You have to get used to lists because essentially all apps are ways for other people to contribute to lists and lists to be read on the screen. Y'all all scroll on Instagram and TikTok, I know, and Facebook and Twitter and whatnot. Those are all lists. Every app uses lists. So this is a really important concept. Okay. So now we have a list view, and inside this list view, I want to drop a container. And this container is going to represent one thread, right? Or one post. Okay. So inside this container, we can now have a column. Excuse me. I just dropped a row and said column. So inside this container, we'll have a row. Okay. So we have list view, container, row, and a row is going to handle holding our content from left to right. So as you notice here, we have like an image, then the text, and that goes from left to right. Okay. So I'm going to get the row in here. And to organize this image separate from this, so how do I kind of like explain this to you? So I want to organize this in one column, and then I want to organize this in another column. So what I will do is add two columns in here like this. So I'll put two columns side by side. The first column will hold an image, and I want to set this image width to the same as the image width here, which is 40 by 40. So I'm going to go here and say 40, 40. And to create a perfect circle, you change the border radius to half of the width. So I'll say my border radius is 20. Okay. And I'll leave it the same for it. I'll leave it the same for now. Then inside the second column, I'm going to add two rows. One row is going to hold my username and one row is going to hold the post data. Okay, so I have 2 rows inside my second column. Okay. I'm going to drop a piece of text inside both of those rows. I'm going to change the top one from hello world to say username, like this. And then I'm going to change this bottom one to say post text details. Okay. And then I'll highlight the column and I'm going to align everything to the left. Okay. I'll click on the row that's holding it all together. And I will honestly, I will align them. I'll align them to the left. And in the row itself, I'm going to add 20 pixels of column or 20 pixels of padding to the right and 20 pixels of padding to the left. And then this column, the first column that's holding my image, I'm going to add probably about the same 20 pixels of padding to the right. Okay. Cool. So before I get too far, I'm going to stop it here, right? I'm going to stop it here because from here we can work on adding posts to the system, and then we will read the posts from the system. And by system, I mean Firebase. Okay, so what we got to do here first is activate your homepage on your widget tree. And what we got to do is install a way to view this page from other pages, right? So on the right-hand side in properties, you have show on navbar, turn it on. And it's yelling at us saying navbar is currently off in app settings. That's okay. So essentially what we're about to do is we're about to we're about to implement this piece of our app, the bottom tab view. And all of you have used bottom tab views in other apps. Okay. So go to your app settings, app details, navbar and app bar under general in app settings. Okay. And then we'll toggle on show app bar. Navbar requires at least 2 pages to have show on navbar set. That's because the navbar needs 2 pages to show up in the bottom. So we need to have 2 pages for it, which is okay. We'll fix that. And notice how it's yelling at us. That's good. So what we'll do is we'll go to our widget tree and create a new page. We will create a page potentially from a list, right? Let's find a template that kind of looks like our, actually, no, we're not doing a list. We're doing a create post. So let's see if we can find a create post. Yeah, we kind of got one here. I kind of like this social post. So let's use this template, social post. I'm going to click on use my theme, and I'm going to change the name of this to create post and tap on create page. Boom. So we just created another page that looks like a social post page. Before I go further, I'm going to resolve any bugs. So the first one is property override, image path not properly set in image. So instead of us trying to solve this, let's just delete the image because we don't need it anyways. Let's delete these bottom buttons because we don't need them anyways, right? Let's find out what the other 2 bugs are. Navbar requires at least 2 pages, we know. So what we're going to do now is in your create post page, activate the create post widget at the top. And on the right-hand side, we're going to activate show on navbar. And now that we have 2 pages set up, we see that our navbar is active. And at the bottom, you can see label home. Rather, I'm going to change this to label new post, just like my navbar has here. Okay. And we can change this navbar icon from a home to, we can type the word post, see if anything pops up. We can type the word edit. Aha. And I found the icon by searching for the word edit. Okay. So cool. We've kind of built out a really basic version of a submit post page. Okay. Cancel is fine. We can actually change cancel to create new post, just like our UI. And I promise you, we didn't plan to use these templates. It's just that powerful. Like FlutterFlow just like knows exactly, what the common templates are. So it's just really, really amazing. I'll leave this here for now. Let's figure out what else it's mad about. Widget configuration. Widget references theme color white does not exist. So I'm going to click on this. It's probably mad that, what's it mad about? This white. I'm just kind of guessing here. Fill color white. And I'll hit alternate. Oh no, that's not what it's mad about. Oh yeah, it was. I'm actually going to set it to secondary background. So it blends in. Okay. Okay, so I got all the bugs to subside. I'm gonna go back to settings and configuration because I actually want the name of the page to show up right here. So I'm gonna go to settings, go to Navbar, and at the bottom here, we have styling. So I'm gonna toggle on show labels and notice how my labels are starting to show up here, right? And then my Navbar color, I'm gonna change it from white to secondary background. And I'm going to change the selected icon color to white. Right here. I'm going to change my selected icon color to primary and my unselected icon color to white. And I'm just going to drag it all the way up to make it white. Cool. So now we kind of got our navbar going. Voila. Okay, let's test to see if all this is working. We'll go back to our FlutterFlow simulator, and our session expired. You can only get access to that for about 15 minutes, and you have to rebuild it again. So I'm going to click on my lightning bolt and rebuild it. Do a quick time check. Cool. 5 minutes till 7:30. We got 27 people in here. Y'all are incredible. Absolutely ambitious people, no pun intended. I'm actually really, really, really impressed that y'all are sticking around. It tells me a lot about who y'all are. So we have a couple tasks left to do. We need to learn how to insert the post to the database and then read a list from the database. That's probably where we will stop tonight, is we will insert to the database and then read from the database. And from there, honestly, the sky is the limit. At that point, you know how to insert, how to read, you know how we are approaching the thought process of copying a design from Figma to FlutterFlow, and you should have all the skills you now need to build almost any app. And then I'll tell you guys more about what we're doing. Let's just go till the 7:30 mark. I'll wrap up. And if anybody wants to stick around to rebuild the rest of the app, I'll be here. So now I can go back and forth between those pages, and I see that it's working. So y'all are absolutely crushing it. We have an app that's coming alive here. We have a new post page, and then we have a home page. But we just have a bunch of UI. And this is where the learning curve comes in. How do we actually make the app come to life? This is where your backend comes into play, and you start integrating the brain of your app. Building a UI is not so hard. It just takes some patience, and it just takes a creative approach. But now we need to make this come to life. So we have a home and a post. We have a home page and a new post page. Okay. The next step from here is to actually send this data to the database and actually make a post. So I'm going to just breeze through this part. I'm going to go to Firestore. I'm going to create a new collection in Firestore. Okay, and I'm going to call this post and hit create. In the document, the Google Drive document, I've given y'all all the definition of a post. The definition of a post is as follows. It has an ID, which will come automatically. A post belongs to a user. So if Moses makes a post, that post needs to belong to Moses because it's going to show up under Moses' profile. If Zion makes a post, he shouldn't see Moses' post under his profile. He should only see his own, right? So every time we make a post in the database, we have to tell the database who that post belongs to. And of course, every post has a string and every post has a created time because you want to be able to sort on the front end the time in which it was created. So I've created a new collection called post, and I'm not going to generate it with AI, as tempting as it sounds. We could look at the social post template, and cool, we got a cool template here. I'm actually going to remove post photo. I'm going to remove post title. I'll keep post description. I'll keep post user. I will keep the time posted. We'll keep the likes for fun. We'll keep the comments for fun, and we'll keep the num votes for fun. We're not going to implement that, but we'll keep them for fun. Okay. So now we just got a post database structure without even having to write or know anything about database design. Absolutely game changing, right? So cool. Now we got a post database structure. So now how do we send a post to the database? We're going to click on UI Builder, right? Click on UI Builder. And when a user types a post in here, we will send it to the database. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this guy, Andreas's name to, I'm actually going to remove his @ here. And I'm going to say new post. And I'll remove this person's image because we don't have access to the image. I'm just going to get creative and say my new post, right? And here in what's happening is where the user is going to actually send the post. I'm going to take this button and drag it to the bottom here. And I'm going to extend the width of it to infinity. Okay. And I'm going to make the height match the height in Figma, which if I double click, the height is 56. So I'm going to say 56. And I smell that there's some padding on it because I can see right here that there's some padding. And so if there's 16 on the right side, I'm going to add 16 to the left side. And I'm going to change the button text to submit post. Okay. Okay. I'm going to tap on the text field. I'm going to remove this like underline that's underneath. I know that's from the text field because that's one of the properties. So if I click on the text field and I scroll down, you see input decoration properties, underline. We're going to change that from underline to none. Okay. And now we have no underline. And we're just going to match the padding to 16 and 16, just so we can get everything on the same line. Cool. And now you're seeing kind of how that looks. Okay. We can come back and adjust some of this. Okay. Now I'm going to go to my my simulator, hit refresh, and see that the simulator is up. Cool. So if I hit new post, you'll see that this all looks good. Gorgeous. Okay. So what I want you to do here is tap on text, and we're going to change this text to show the username that we set during our create account process. So tap on the orange icon to set this value from a variable. We're going to tap on combine text. And in text one, we're going to say @ and then we're going to hit add text. Pull this value from authenticated user display name and hit confirm. What this just did is it will pull our username onto the page. So when I hit new post, oops, I think I did it too fast. If I hit instant reload, hit new post, we have @ Let's see what happened here by going to our database. I'm going to open up Firebase, hit build, go to Firestore database. I have a feeling the same thing happened here where we didn't set up the database. Okay, so in Firebase, we go to build, tap on Firestore database and hit create database. Okay, this is what happened. We didn't create the database, so nothing's saved into it. We'll tap start in test mode. So this keeps our settings open. We'll hit next and enable. Real quick, we're starting to get some people dropping off. So before we lose more people, I just want to tell you all more about what we're doing at Ambitious Labs. August 14th, real quick here. So we will post the rest of the recording. I just want to show y'all what we're doing. August 14th, we start our next batch for Dreams into Apps 2.0. Some of y'all were in Dreams to Apps 1.0, where we all built an AI-powered application together. We got a lot of feedback, and we know that most of y'all have your own ideas that you want to bring to life. And yes, it's very, very hard to create an educational program that will teach you how to bring your app idea to life. But Zion, Moses, myself, we hired a PhD instructional designer. We've taken feedback in from over 200 people who we've talked to in the last 3 months. And we finally designed a robust, cutting-edge educational program where you will learn how to bring your app idea to life using FlutterFlow with us. We will teach you how to bring your idea to life. You're going to get access to our custom learning platform that we've been working really, really hard on building. It's the first ever learning platform built for people who have ideas that don't know how to code. We have incredible features in there. There's content, there is a support system, there is assignments that you can actually submit to our coaching team, and we'll review your assignments and make sure that we keep you on track. And we even have an AI bot that we've trained on over 10,000 documents. It doesn't know anything else. It's like ChatGPT, but it only knows 2 things: FlutterFlow and Firebase. And it also has knowledge of just general app development. So by enrolling in our program, you're going to get access to the custom learning platform that's going to be a membership only, weekly coaching sessions, access to the AI coach, and we guarantee that you bring your app idea to life with us. This is going to be the only program that Ambitious Labs offers, and we are going to double down on this for the rest of the year. Everything is going to be going toward Dreams into Apps 2.0 on our side, and we want to build it where anybody can jump in at any time. And our learning platform is going to have a bunch of tools in it where we can help you generate UI designs, help you generate app ideas. We know many of y'all have more than one app idea, so we've actually built a system to help you keep track of your app ideas and plan your app ideas. So everything is going to be in one platform: learning, content, and mini tools. We're working really, really hard on this every single day. And this is just one of many things that we're doing as far as free workshops go to spread awareness of no-code app building. We're in talks with a bunch of really cool partners, and this is going to be something that is epic. So if y'all are interested in jumping into Dreams into Apps 2.0, we stop enrolling on the 1st of August. We've got a bunch of demanders, I think 4 or 5 seats left. Scan the code, book a call. You're going to jump in a call with me, and I'm going to show you everything that we've been doing. And yeah, I hope to see you there. If this was exciting to you and you want that extra level of support where you want content and a coach by your side as you build your own app idea, definitely come join us. It's going to be awesome. Cool. And I'll just quickly post the link for y'all to book a call with me in the channel here. Cool. And we'll definitely send a follow-up in case you guys want to. And yeah, so cool. Let's keep moving here. I'm going to go to the top of the hour. Cool. So now what I'm going to do is we need to get my user to show up in here. And now we just kind of created a small problem, but that's okay. What we can do is create a new page. Okay. I'm going to go to settings. And we're going to create a really basic profile page. I'm going to find this profile 5, hit use theme, and call it profile. Cool. We shouldn't get any errors. I'm actually going to hook up this logout button to an action called logout. Looks like it's already there. FlutterFlow kind of glitched on me. Okay. And I'm going to activate this to show up. I'm going to activate this page to show up in our navbar. So I'm going to click show on navbar, and this page is going to show up. I'm going to change the label to profile. So now we got a little bit ahead and we're creating our profile. All right. Cool. Then I'm going to go back to simulator, and I'm going to log myself out. So what I want to do right now is log myself out, log myself back in, and I should see the entry pop up in the database. Cool. Beautiful. So I'm going to go to profile. Ooh, and it had a cool animation. You see that? I'm gonna hit log out and boom, we logged ourselves out. Now you see your app kind of rounding at the corners, right? Sign up with email. We're gonna go back and we're gonna say Alim Charnia 1, Alim at, I'm gonna say Alim1 at live.com, Alim123, Alim123, create account. And now going back to Firebase, if I refresh my database here, aha, now I see my first user document in the database. So what you just did is you added a user to the database, and now your user can create other objects, and we have a reference to that user. Okay, so now we should move pretty quickly. So if I go to new post, okay, the one thing I noticed was that the UID email is here, but our username didn't show up. That's probably because in the create account flow, we didn't actually save the username. So I'm going to go to my create account page, tap on create account, hit open. And what's happening here is we forgot to set the field, and a field is a property on the user. You're going to get used to this as you insert. So I'm going to add a field, and I'm going to change this field from email to display name, and from specific value to from variable. I'm going to click on unset to actually pull that value from somewhere. I'm going to drop down widget state, and my available options, you're going to see all the different widgets or elements that I can pull from. One of the widgets I want to pull from is username. So I'm going to click on that and hit close. Now I'm going to go back to my simulator and rerun this. Okay. Cool. I'll go to profile, hit log out. I'm going to sign back in. I'm going to say Alim char 2, Alim2 at live.com. Create account. Okay. And now when I hit new post, you see my username's popping up here. So when I check Firebase and I click on that second user that was created, now I see the display name was sent to the database. So see, as we insert to the database, you can probably start to smell what we're going to do next. Now we're going to send a post to the database, and we're going to save that and read it on the homepage. Cool. So we'll go to dashboard. Excuse me. We're going to go to FlutterFlow. Go to that create post page. We're going to tap on submit post. Okay. Well, before we do that, let's make sure that the text field is named correctly. So we'll tap on the text field, go to the top where you have the text field name. This is currently named text field. Let's change this to write your post like this. Okay. And then we'll click on the button for submit post, hit open on the action flow editor for submit post. And now it's time to add an action. The action type will be backend database. We're going to go to Firestore, create document. So what this is about to do is we're about to create a new object or document in the database that other people can read from. It's cool. So we got create document. The collection is post because we want to save a new post to the database. And now it's time to set the fields. So what do we want to actually save to the database? Hit add field, post description, right? It's trying to set the post description for us. We're going to say from variable, not specific value, because we want to pull this from somewhere else. We don't want to write it ourselves. We're going to tap on unset, hit widget state, and find write your post, right? Because that's the text field we just created. Tap write your post. And now we're going to save that post to the database, save the post text to the database. But we need to make sure we save who the post is from. So we'll tap add field and see it's already trying to get us to post user. See, and it's saying document reference users. So we're actually going to reference the user that's in the database by clicking on unset, hit authenticated user, and notice FlutterFlow is already trying to do you a favor. It's trying to say, hey, I only have one option for you that works. Everything else is red. So we're going to click user reference, hit confirm. We're going to add another field, time posted. And it's already saying from variable. So we're going to hit unset, scroll down, global properties. And global properties are properties that are set for you by the system. We'll hit current time and hit confirm. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else we could add. We won't want any likes or anything. So let's keep it very simple. And let's just keep our post like this. So we have description, user, and the time posted. That should be all that we need to render the posts, right? I'm actually thinking, that's okay for now. Let's hit close, and boom, let's go back to our, oops, I don't know what happened there. Probably bugged out. So now we're going to go back to our action flow editor, our UI builder, and we're going to run the simulator again by hitting the lightning bolt, right? Waiting on this to run. Hey, Shrey, absolutely. We're going to send you all this stuff in a text message. And make sure if you need any of this stuff, you can all join the free Slack community. I'm going to put that in the document as well. Make sure you join the Slack community, reach out to me, reach out to Moses, and we can help you out. Next time, what we'll do is we'll create a Slack channel for all this. That way we can keep it together. Boom, going back to test mode. We'll just go for 15 more minutes. We'll hard stop at 8. I'd like to eat dinner too. Cool. All right. So let's test the moment of truth. We're going to say Twitter is dead. So we rebuilt it. Submit post. Okay. We didn't see anything happen, but that doesn't mean nothing happened. So I'm going to go back to the database at Firestore, refresh. Ooh. And now I see a post, a document, and boom, I see a post description, a post user, and the time it was posted. So we just posted something to our platform. Like we just built our own post system, but we'll worry about refreshing this page and resetting this in just a second. What I want to do next is actually go read that data. So let's go to the homepage and let's get that data to show up here, right? Well, one thing I'm noticing is that we need the username to exist on the posts because we'll need to display it. So first, I'm going to go to Firestore and I'm going to update my post definition. I'm going to say new field name and I'm going to say post underscore username. And I'm going to change this data type to a string. What I'm going to save here is the username of the person who posted it. That way we can have that data available when it's time to render on the homepage. So I'm going to go back to my create post, hit submit post, right? And then open the action flow editor, find the create document action, hit add field. Okay. And I'm going to find post username from variable, authenticated user, display name, hit close. And I'm going to go back to my simulator. Okay, and I'm going to add something. Twitter is dead. Hit submit post. I see another one popped up. Twitter is dead and the username is now here. So you see how easy it is to just add more properties to the database. This is incredibly powerful as y'all iterate and add more features and more functionalities to your app. Okay, cool. So lastly, when I hit submit post, the next thing I want to do is just empty out the text field. So we'll add another action and you'll find widget UI interactions, clear text fields. You can also search for clear widget UI interactions, clear text fields. And select write your post because that's the text field that we want to clear. And boom, next time you create a post and you hit submit post, it should clear. So see how you're writing plain English to build an app. You're not writing any gibberish code. You do have to think a little bit robotically, but that's not impossible. That's a great skill to have in 2023. Building apps is easy. And ideally, when I hit submit post, the post was submitted and the text field was reset. Now we want to render all that data here. And that's going to be the last step for the night, right? So we want to have a feed now of all the posts. So when other users are posting, we're seeing all the posts pop up, right? So home page. Cool. So let's show you how to do this. This is an incredible skill. Okay, list view. Make sure your list view is activated. And the power of a list view in FlutterFlow is that a list view can connect directly to a collection and render a list of items from a collection. It just connects directly to it. It's super cool. So click on list view, right? Activate it. Make sure you have list view toggled here. The fourth item is called generate dynamic children. And what this means is generate one item for each item in the list. If you know anything about computer science, this is called a loop, right? So we're going to call this variable name. I'm just going to say it's a post. I'm just going to call it, actually, I'm going to call it single post to make it easy to identify what it is. And I know it's a single post. We're going to leave empty for no limit. Value. Actually, here, real quick. We got a little ahead of ourselves. Before we do that, excuse me, got a little bit ahead of ourselves. Before we do that, what we got to do here is actually go get all the posts from the database. So open your homepage, make sure your homepage is activated. Then the third item is backend query. What this means is when I open this page, we want to go get stuff from the database. So with your homepage activated, click add backend query. Query type will be query collection. Query means ask, right? Query is a synonym for question. So pretty much what we're saying is build a question for the database. And my question is related to posts. And my type is give me a list of all the posts. And I don't want any filters here because I want all the posts, right? I want mine, I want Moses', I want Shrey's, I want everybody's, right? And so we don't want any filters. If you were rendering only my posts, then I would use this filter feature to say only filter by my user ID posts, right? Only filter by posts that have my user ID. So these are some powerful features that FlutterFlow offers. I'm just going to hit confirm. And what this just did is when a user opens this page, it's going to go get all the data from the database. And now we can connect that to the list view. Excuse me. Throat got a little dry there. Okay, so now we can connect that to the list view, the query, and get the list view to spit out all the list items. So we have add backend query. Now we go to the generate dynamic children with list view activated. I'm going to type one post, value. I'm going to change this to post document. See how that didn't exist before? Because what this means is we just queried for all those documents and those documents are going to exist for us now. Now we're going to say map list items and nothing else will change and hit confirm. Okay, and then hit confirm one more time here with the orange. And watch what happens when we click OK. You see how it just spat out a bunch of list items for us? Now what's going to happen is for every item in our database, we're going to see one of those list items pop up on our UI. Wow, we still got most of y'all in here. That's fantastic. Y'all are really trying to build. Okay, cool. So see how 3 items just popped up? That's because there's 3 posts in our database. The more posts we have, the more items that are going to pop up. But what I want to do now is actually populate the data. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, we go to each individual text. Where we've had it hard-coded here on the right, instead we're going to pull it from a value by clicking the orange. Notice here there's an item that says one post item. This represents a single post, like the post that's popping up for a specific row. This is the power of the generate children from list. Now I can take one item, click it, and I can find post username. And that's what I'm going to render here. I'm going to render the username of a single post. And you guessed it, if you think that we're going to do the same thing, one post item, post description for this. Boom, boom. And now we're seeing that when I click instant reload, I can see the post description. And now we should have a real functioning app. And I wouldn't be surprised if this breaks because we don't have, it didn't break, but notice how we didn't have a username for the first one. That's because the username property didn't exist when I first started this. But boom, now y'all are seeing how this works. We are almost built like our own Twitter. And now I'm gonna ask y'all to do something. I'm gonna run my app. I'm gonna post it in the chat. I'm gonna ask one of y'all to create your own account with my app and make a post. And I want to see your post pop up on my app. And once we do that, we've successfully built our own social media platform in literally 2 hours. Not even. In 90 minutes, we built our own social media platform with authentication, with login, with create, post, and a feed. That used to take 2 months, and it took us 2 hours. Crickets. I'm telling you, it's crickets. I hope you have goosebumps running down your back at this point. And I'm going to publish it to you, and I'm going to put it in your hands, and I'm going to get you to create an account. I'm telling you, there's nobody out there who's launched a IG Threads clone in 2 hours, except all 16 of us. I'm just giving you guys a run link. Ideally, you should be able to run this link. I want y'all to test my app. I want to see your post pop up. Maybe we launch our own ambitious threads and we just make it for us. That'd be lit. That'd be awesome. All right. Cool. We got run mode going. So I'm going to post this in the chat. Let me know if you guys can access this on your browser. See if that opens. Sometimes we've had some issues with some people not being able to open it. See if that opens, create an account, and I want to see your post pop up here. You don't even need to tell me when you create your account. Just let me know if you get in. I think a lot of people will get a loop. That's what happened when we were doing this for a client the other day. Maybe I'll web publish this. That's what Moses taught me. I'm going to post this on web publishing real quick. And so real quick, this is one of the most powerful things about the Ambitious Labs community, right? We have 1,100 people in our Slack. When we build apps, we get to launch it in our community. We have 4,500 on our newsletter. We have 1,100 in the Slack. We have 36,000 on Instagram. We went viral a few times for some AI videos. And so when you guys build apps with us, we can actually launch your guys' apps into our network and pretty much guaranteed, at least 100, 150 users. So really cool that we've built such a community over time. And I think that with the Accelerator program, we can truly accelerate going from idea to those first 100 users. Absolutely crazy. It's taken us a long time to get here. We've all been making a ton of sacrifices, but we're really excited about where we're going. Just want to get this app published. I'll put it in y'all's hands and then we'll call it a night. And then of course, if we wanted to, we could improve some of this stuff. Like it's pretty easy from here. Like we can go to the profile. I can pull Andrea Davis. Instead, I can say, you know, authenticated user, display name. We could change this to authenticated user email. Yeah, pretty easy to do that kind of stuff. I can just get rid of all this. Okay, cool. So I think our app is live. Yes. It doesn't look the prettiest because it's not meant for web, but if you open it like in a small browser, it will look like a mobile app. And if we wanted to have made this a web app, we could. Maybe next time we'll build a popular web app. I'll catch you guys in 2-3 weeks and we'll do that. But real quick, I want to see y'all's users pop up in my database. So go ahead and open that up and create some users. Aha, I see somebody. Liz, I see you. Oh, someone hit test. Oh, more coming in. Bill, thank you. Really cool, right? So like this adrenaline of like getting your first users is like the most mind-boggling thing. And y'all can get there super fast. I remember the first time I launched my app and got our first users, my app completely broke because I wrote it all by hand. And I got my first users. I was super excited, but my app didn't work. So now with no code and FlutterFlow, you can now get your first users and build a really high quality app. Cool. I only see people who made an account, which is fine. But I'm going to open up my Twitter. Haha, nice. And we see some people create accounts. Liz, Phil, nice work. Really, really cool. It's happening, fellas. Yeah, so we got to implement a scroll, and we'll do that by going to the home page. We'll find the column, and scrollable is one of the properties on the column. I'm sure y'all are all used to columns by now. We can hit scroll there. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. That didn't seem to work. It's probably because I had a different. He says, if we could build a search feature, we'd be ahead of Threads. Absolutely. I think scroll did work. I just went too fast. Or not. Okay, cool. Well, we built a very, very, very basic version of Threads, and it works. It's got a ton of features. Honestly, that would have taken us a long time to learn. Y'all learned literally Figma, UI, front end, widgets, back end, insert, delete, reading. Y'all learned a ton of stuff. So be really proud if you guys got even anywhere close to me. Wow, there's so many people here. I'm super proud of each and every one of you for sticking around. Super proud of everybody who even showed up. Like I said, we're going to keep doing more of these as we launch our new accelerator. Reach out to us if you're interested in the accelerator. It starts August 14th. This is the last week we're going to be enrolling. If you have any questions, we have a free private Slack. We have a ton of really awesome student mentors. Even if you don't enroll in our accelerator, you can jump into our Slack, and we have a ton of people from around the world who are helping for free. Thank you to everyone that keeps our community alive. We literally wake up every day for you. Moses, thank you for manning the chat and being an awesome head coach. Thank you everybody for joining, and we'll see you next time. Take care.